So we're just days away from UFC 310, Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura with a co-main event of Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Garry, which means it's time for me to break down every single fight on this card, starting with the early prelim opener, going all the way up to the main event. After a week break since that Piotr Jan Figueiredo card, I'm feeling rejuvenated, ready for some war, some violence. Let's see some good cage fights. Let's jump right into it with the first fight of the night, Kennedy Nzechechwu versus Lukas Brezki. Kennedy Nzechechwu making a short turnaround since his fight with Chris Barnett, because that was a blink and you'll miss it type of thing. You know, Chris Barnett was feeling like a lightweight before the fight, jumping up and down on his legs with 400 pounds of weight on him. So he busted his knee and got knocked out in the first round. So good win for Kennedy Nzechechwu. No damage taken from him. Not much exerted even in that fight. I'm sure he woke up the next day like fully not tired at all. You know, like he probably went and worked out the day after. So I think Kennedy Nzechechwu is going to get this done. Lukas Brezki is undersized. Like they're both kind of undersized. They're not really true heavyweights per se. Lukas Brezki is like, he's not fat or anything. He is a longer guy, but I think Nzechechwu will be way more physical. His clinch game's good. His striking's good. I don't see a way that Lukas Brezki is going to win this fight like he was able to do against Walter Walker, where he exposed him on the ground. That's not going to happen here. Kennedy has good grappling, and I see a round one TKO just like his last fight. Maybe a submission or something like that, but we're going to go with Kennedy Nzechechwu round one TKO. That's the pick. Moving up to the next fight of the card, we've got Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper. So this is almost like a rematch per se, because they did this on UFC Fight Pass in a grappling event, and Chase Hooper got a really quick submission over Clay Guida. What's going to change here, guys? Chase Hooper's not going to be trying to strike with Clay Guida on the feet. He's going to be going for the grappling, trying to initiate that, and he's going to get a submission here over Clay Guida. That really wasn't that long ago either. That was like 3-4 months ago, if I remember correctly, where Chase Hooper tapped him out. That wasn't long ago at all. That was like the summertime. I'm going to go with Chase Hooper, round one or round two, submission win over Clay Guida. Not taking too much into that one. I think it's an easy pick, to be honest with you. Maybe we see Clay Guida finally hang up the gloves on a pay-per-view card or something like that. Maybe, because he's like 42 now, 43 maybe. So I don't really want to see Clay Guida fight anymore, but hopefully he gets a good performance and it's not just a cakewalk for Chase Hooper, but I think that's what it's going to be. We're going to go with Chase Hooper, round one submission win. Moving up the card, Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. Yeah. Now, if you guys remember, Michael Chiesa's last fight was against Tony Ferguson, where he got a really quick round one submission win. You know, easy pick. Who's picking Tony in that scenario? You know, Michael Chiesa, easiest pick in existence there. Who the hell in their right mind would pick Tony Ferguson to win that one? But anyways, Michael Chiesa here. This is the easiest Max Griffin decision win I've ever seen. So that's going to be my pick. You think I'm going to pick Michael Chiesa to win a fight in 2024 when he's not fighting? I even picked Tony Ferguson to beat him, guys. That's how little I think of Michael Chiesa as a fighter. I think Max Griffin pieces him up on the feet, and I think he's going to be able to deny some takedowns. Tony Ferguson wasn't able to deny any takedowns, and he was still looking good on the feet against Chiesa for like 2 seconds. But I'm going to go with Max Griffin, decision win, unanimous decision win here over Michael Chiesa. Max Griffin gets this done. Next fight up the card, we've got Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. So both these guys coming off of wins in their last performance. Cody Durden beat Matt Schnell by a round 2 ninja choke. And Joshua Van's coming off a decision win over Edgar Chairez. They both lost their fight before that. Cody Durden being knocked out by Bruno Silva and being submitted by Tajir Ulanbekov in the fight before that. Joshua Van getting his first loss professionally against Charles Johnson 2 fights ago, where he got knocked out in the 3rd round. He had a tough first round, again pieced up. Round 2, he was bouncing back, rallying. Round 3, he got dropped and put out the start of the 3rd round. So it is a bad look, but it was a bad look. Charles Johnson is a very wiry and like dangerous and very unorthodox guy to fight in the flyweight division. He's very tall, lanky, and he's got underrated boxing. So like that fight was kind of tough for Joshua Van, but here I don't see Cody Durden knocking out Joshua Van. I don't see him tapping out Joshua Van. I think this is a perfect fight for Joshua Van to get some hype built back upon his name, get a good decision win here over Cody Durden. I think he's going to outbox him. Joshua Van may lack some power at times, but I think his boxing is going to be way better than Cody Durden. What does concern me is that Cody Durden does have a win over Charles Johnson, but we can't MMA math this. At the end of the day, Joshua Van is a prospect. He's got way more ability to improve as a fighter than Cody Durden does, who's at the later end of his career. So I think Joshua Van's going to get this done by a decision. He will have more grit, have more heart. And yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Joshua Van by decision. That'll be the official pick. Next fight up the card, we've got Chris Weidman versus Eryk Anders. This was supposed to be on UFC 309 with John Jones, that card. But Eryk Anders pulled out, I think. I think he missed weight, something like that. So they postponed it. I'm taking Chris Weidman, and I think he's a slight underdog. I broke this down a few weeks ago, and I kind of completely forget everything I said about it. But Chris Weidman, with the old gloves especially, like, he has no problem with eye poking, getting dirty in a fight. And if we're talking boxing skills, I just don't see, like, incredible skills from Eryk Anders. You know, we got a previous champion on our hands of Chris Weidman. He's got that skill to become a champion. He knocked out Anderson Silva in the past, you know. He's got that skill to his name. And Eryk Anders, I just don't see him beating Chris Weidman. I don't. Regardless of Chris Weidman returning after the injury, he looked good against Bruno Silva. Even before the eye pokes, he was winning that fight, but the eye pokes just made it way more dirty. He has no issue with getting dirty. And I'm not saying he's going to do that this fight, but I see Chris Weidman winning anyways. He has a good boxing, and he's good at holding you against the cage, getting you to the mat, you know, grinding it out, getting the minutes of control time. He's good at that. I'm taking Chris Weidman to get a decision win here over Eryk Anders. That's the official pick. Next fight up the card, we've got Bryan Battle versus Randy Brown. Randy Chin Brown. You know, this guy got knocked out in, like, I mean, JDM is a fucking menace, but, you know, he made short work of Randy Brown. Randy Brown has bounced back recently. You know, he knocked out Muslim Salikov, but Bryan Battle, this is a whole other beast. You know, you think the Butcher's gonna lose to a Frenchman? You know, that was cold as fuck. He looked great in that performance against Kevin Gisette. And I don't think Randy Brown's getting it done against him. I think Bryan Battle, he's got a lot of potential, and I see him getting a finish over Randy Brown in the first round by a knockout. That'll be the official pick. Bryan Battle, round 1, KO. Moving up to the next fight of the card, we've got Movzar Evloev versus Aljomain Sterling. This fight was supposed to take place a couple months ago, 308 maybe, or 307. September, I think it was supposed to take place originally. But who pulled out of that fight? Can't remember who pulled out of it originally, but probably was Movzar, to be fair. But I think Evloev's going to get this done. I think this is where it comes to a screeching halt for Aljomain Sterling. He's against a good grappler in Movzar Evloev. Both these guys don't have, like, incredible boxing or anything. Like, I don't see a knockout here. I mean, the thing is, when two high-level grapplers fight, they usually get into striking matchups. And if it is a striking matchup, I probably would take Movzar's over Aljomain. Like, it's a tough one, though. Like, it really is a tough one if we're going to go to striking there. But grappling-wise, I think Movzar will have the transition ability over Aljomain Sterling. You know, if Aljomain gets him in a good double leg or something, Movzar will be able to scramble, end up in a dominant position over Aljomain. This is a tough one, but I'm pretty confident Movzar Evloev will get this one done. I really don't think Aljomain. I think the size difference is going to show here as well, finally. But for Aljomain Sterling, come on, you belong on the prelims, buddy. Back to the back of the line, buddy. You thought you're getting an instant rematch after saying you're moving up in weight? Ha, you get a Russian grappler for a title shot. Yeah. Eat it, buddy. Movzar Evloev by decision will be the official pick. Moving up to the next fight of the card. So the next fight up the card, we've got Vincent Luque versus Themba Gorimbo. Vincent Luque's coming off of a loss against Joaquin Buckley, where he kind of just coiled up on the ground and quit and decided he didn't want to fight anymore. And Themba Gorimbo's coming off of a couple 3 or 4 fight win streak. Currently, he beat Nico Price by unanimous decision. He beat Ramiz Brahimaj by unanimous decision, and he knocked out Pete Rodriguez. So I think it's a 3-fight win streak currently. Vincent Luque, man, I don't think he wants it anymore. I think he honestly should contemplate hanging it up. He is really young, but after you get that much damage dealt to you and you are struggling with like brain bleeds after a fight, after getting a knockout loss from Jeff Neal, that's going to change you as a fighter. That's going to make you not want to take as much damage. It's going to make you not want to put yourself in positions where you could take damage like that. So that's why we saw him quit like he did against Joaquin Buckley. That's why we saw him kind of just first sign of adversity, Joaquin Buckley on top. Vincent Luque hasn't taken any damage yet, but he sees the impending damage and he says, I don't want to take that anymore. I don't want that. And I think that's something that I have to take into mind here. I just don't think he wants it anymore. I think Themba Gorimbo is hungry, you know. He got that first stench of success and The Rock gave him a house because of it. After he knocked out Pete Rodriguez, you know, he's got the backing of the UFC, of the company, you know, of the power, you know. So I think Themba Gorimbo is going to want it more. He's obviously set up here in a position where he could win this fight because this was supposed to be Nick Diaz versus Vincent Luque. Obviously a winnable fight for Luque. Themba Gorimbo will be wanting to hit hard. He only has 2 knockouts, so I'm not going to be picking a knockout. I'm picking Themba Gorimbo by decision, though. I think he's going to be able to outgrind Vincent Luque, who I don't think wants it anymore. And I think we may see him hang up the gloves. I get it's early, but you know, when you know, you know. And I don't want to see Vincent Luque going in there taking unnecessary damage. I'm picking Themba Gorimbo to win this fight by decision. Next fight up the card, we've got Anthony on paper Smith versus Dominick Reyes, who on paper beat John Jones. So 2 on paper fighters, you know. Dominick Reyes, big bounce back win in his last fight against Dustin Jacoby. Got that feel-good moment against Jacoby. Big knockout there. Even though I picked Jacoby, I was very happy to see Dominick Reyes not lose for once. You know, it felt great to see him back in the win column, see him happy for once after fighting. It felt great because, you know, just imagine being Dominick Reyes on the top of the world, feeling like you just beat John Jones, and they read out John Jones' name, and then your next fight, you're getting knocked out. It's like you almost got cursed because you flew too close to the sun, you know. So it's good to see the Dominick Reyes beat whatever hex John Jones placed on him that night. And I think he's going to be able to beat Anthony Smith as well, who we've seen. He's not that good, guys. Anthony Smith is so overrated for what like people think of him. You know, he's like, oh, he's grappling so dangerous. You don't want to mess with this guy, which, to be fair, he tapped out Vitor Petrino. But that was more because Petrino was a dumbass and just stuck his head in a guillotine. Dominick Reyes is not going to do that. Dominick Reyes will be keeping this on the feet, beating the fuck out Anthony Smith. We're going to go with the Dominick Reyes KO win over Anthony on paper Smith. Please, no. Yeah, that will be the pick. That will be the Anthony Smith doesn't want it anymore. He was making Dolidze look good on the feet. How do you make Roman Dolidze look good on the feet? We're going to go with Dominick Reyes, round 2, TKO win over Anthony on paper Smith. Let's get it. Big win for Dominick Reyes. So now let me rant about the main card real quick. Because, like, why do we have these 2 main card fights here? Nate Landwehr versus Doohoo Choi. Fair be it, you know, it belongs on the prelims. But, you know, if it was just that fight to start off the main card, at least it's a banger. At least it's a guaranteed war between these 2 guys where Nate Landwehr, I'm going to pick him to knock out Doohoo Choi. Going to pick Nate Landwehr, big knockout win over Doohoo Choi. Nate Landwehr knocked out Jamal Emmers in his last fight. He is older than Doohoo Choi by 3 years, but he's got the reach advantage. He's got that heart advantage too. You know, this guy's gritty. His mouthpiece has teeth marks that are damn near bitten straight through it because he's biting down on that mouthpiece so hard. He's showing his grit in the cage. Choi, he is actually pretty good. You know, he bounced back in his last fight, got a nice win. He needed it because his fight before that was a draw. So he did get a good bounce back win last fight. But I think Nate Landwehr is going to get it done. You know, Duhu's been finished in the past. Not much, but he did get knocked out by Durden. And I think Nate Landwehr is going to get it on him. Put it on him. Put the pressure on him. Get that knockout in the first or the second round over Choi. That'll be the pick. Nate Landwehr, round 2 or 1 TKO win. And what the hell are we doing with Bryce Mitchell and Kron Gracie on the main card of a pay-per-view in 2024? Kron fucking Gracie? Kron fucking Gracie is on the main card of a pay-per-view in 2024, nearly 2025. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Honestly, what are we doing? Bryce Mitchell is going to win this one easily. How is Kron still signed after what he showed in his last fight? Was that against Durden? Where he's just scooching across the canvas? It might have been someone else, but like, what are we doing putting him on the main card of a pay-per-view in 2024? Seriously. Bryce Mitchell, fuck it, TKO. Round 2, I don't know. Bryce Mitchell wins that one. Moving up to the next fight of the card, we got Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. This is a rematch. The first time they fought, Cyril Gane 50-45 Alexander Volkov. So I'm not going to... It was a close 50-45 in the terms of like Volkov was still hanging in there, not getting completely destroyed, but he lost every round. And, you know, Cyril Gane is a guy where like if you start putting it on him, it's like he's almost sparring half the time. And then when you start putting it on him, landing a good shot on him, it's like, okay, now is when I get to actually fight and show my skills and show my heart. Like, he got dropped by Tai Tuivasa, gets up and bites down his mouthpiece and starts unloading on Tai and gets the finish on him. When you start really putting it on Cyril Gane, I mean, bad example here, but, you know, when you start putting it on Cyril Gane, he really starts to show his heart. Even though John Jones put it on him and he tapped out immediately. So, it's a tough one. But, like, Sergey Spivak's starting to shoot takedowns and then Cyril Gane starts denying them and breaks his rib. So, like, I think Volkov, if he gets it, makes it close enough, we might see that switch flick in Cyril Gane's head where he's like, okay, we're actually fighting now. I can actually start fighting and putting some power behind these things. Because half the time he's, like, just snapping them out. Just tap, tap, oh, yeah. Front kick. Tap, oh, yeah. Bounce out of range. You know, he's got great movement. I really like Cyril Gane. I was really high up on this guy. He broke my heart a couple times, but I think he's still going to be able to beat Alexander Volkov. Pretty flying colors performance here, where he's going to get another 50, or this is just a 3-rounder. So a 30-27 over Alexander Volkov. It's actually easier than it was before. He's going to be able to move more because he's got more cardio. It's not a 5-rounder. He's going to be able to expel his energy a bit faster. We're going to go with the 30-27 win for Cyril Gane. I don't see Volkov changing the history books. I don't see it happening. This is the end of the road for Volkov. Cyril Gane showing that he's still the placeholder in the division. And, like, maybe Tom Aspinall fights... Maybe Cyril Gane fights Tom Aspinall, sorry, because it was more Cyril Gane didn't want to fight Tom Aspinall than anyone. So maybe Cyril Gane decides he wants to fight Aspinall after this, and we see a good fight between them. But we're going to go with Cyril Gane, unanimous decision win in this fight. Moving up to the co-main event of the evening. On to the co-main event of the evening, we got Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Garry. This is now the third time I've had to redo this segment because my phone's been out of storage. So let's see if I can get through this one. Shavkat Rakhmonov, 18-0, 8 of his finishes by knockout, 10 of them by submission. Garry, 7 by knockout, 7 by decision, 1 by submission. He showed off some grappling in his last fight, but let's not forget what he was saying going into that last fight against MVP. Oh, listen, I'm going to show levels on the feet, yeah. I'm going to outstrike MVP, show ya a new kid's in town. What happened? He went out and became the stinkiest of stinky grapplers, hugged MVP's back for the majority of that fight after he got peppered on the feet in moments. And listen, Ian Garry's not doing that to Shavkat Rakhmonov. MVP was not expecting the grappling approach, and he's not even a good grappler. Shavkat Rakhmonov's a better grappler than Ian Garry, for sure, for sure. For sure he's a better grappler than Ian Garry. Stop typing. He's a better grappler than Ian Garry. And on the feet, I think the reach advantage will be something. Ian Garry might have better boxing. But you got to also consider there is rumblings of this mystery sparring partner that Ian Garry had that knocked him out a while ago. And supposedly that's Shavkat Rakhmonov. And supposedly it was a head kick. So we got to watch for these spinning back kicks and like head kicks and shit like that. Shavkat loves throwing them. He throws in his entire body, all the power in the world behind them. If that lands, Ian Garry's going down. He got rocked by a right hand from the MVP, who does hit hard, but head kicks are harder, man. They hurt more. And I think Shavkat Rakhmonov, if it goes to the ground, he's going to shine. Clinch, he's going to shine. Ian Garry loves his clinch work, but Shavkat Rakhmonov is also really good in the clinch, so I think he's going to be avoiding that. Ian Garry's jumping into this and saying that he's going to take the O. So he might know something we don't. Where is he going to shine? What I'm trying to think. Where is he going to shine in this fight? Shavkat Rakhmonov has better grappling. So what Ian Garry's going to do is try to keep it on the feet, is in my head, is what he's going to do. Maybe try to initiate the clinch, but I think that's even going too far. I think Ian Garry has to keep him at distance for most of this fight, and I just don't see it happening. Shavkat Rakhmonov is a force that will back you down, get it in close where he wants it, and he will, I'm missing a word here, he will force his will on you. I'm sure there's a better way to say that. He will force his will on you, and he's a very physically imposing guy. War-torn country this guy's from. He's built for violence. Ian Garry, built for veganism. He loves his tofu. He's got a soybean build. He looks like a bag of milk. Rakhmonov eats bison for dinner. Ian Garry eats tofu. He eats bison-flavored tofu for dinner. There's a difference between these two guys, and I think it's going to show. We're going to see a round 2 or round 3 TKO for Shavkat Rakhmonov. That rhymed. Was not meaning it to, but it rhymed. So, Shavkat Rakhmonov, round 2 or round 3 TKO. I don't want to talk about this anymore because I've already said this shit twice over now. I probably missed something that I was trying to say, but if it was that important, I would have thought of it. Shavkat Rakhmonov, round 2 or round 3 TKO will be the official pick. And, yeah, Ian Garry, you're so done for, buddy. You should have stuck with Joaquin Buckley, a winnable fight for you. But Shavkat, not happening. Moving up to the main event, Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. Now, I already know that I might get backlash for this one. Listen, I love picking against Pantoja. I picked Pantoja to beat Moreno, and since that, we said never again. Never again I'm going to pick this guy. I don't know what happened, but I just flipped a switch after that Moreno fight, and I said he gets hit too much. This boy gets hit too much. He gets into wars too much. At some point, it's got to backfire against him. Wasn't Royval. Wasn't Urseg, even though Urseg probably should have got that decision. It wasn't Urseg. One more takedown defend in that 5th round, and it could have been Urseg, but it wasn't. He got it close, though. I'm just saying, if a guy like Urseg, who was ranked number 10 going into that fight, is able to make it that close with Pantoja, you don't think a world champion, former world champion from another promotion, who is known for his knockout ability, is going to be able to make it close with Pantoja? I understand. Pantoja's path to victory is grappling here, guys. But when in a Pantoja fight have we ever seen 25 minutes of grappling from him? It's just not going to happen. Pantoja loves his firefights. He loves his dog fights, his wars. He loves showing that grit. And I think if he does that against Kai Asakura is going to beat the fuck out of him on the feet, to be honest with you. I think there's going to be a difference in striking between the two. Asakura is going for pure damage. Those body knees, the kicks, the teeps, they're going to be a game changer here. This guy goes for damage. And I could totally see Pantoja still winning this fight. I'm not saying it's off the table. Goes for grappling, gets the grappling off for enough of the fight. He wins the decision. I'm just saying at a certain point, when you're getting into firefights with every single person you're fighting, you're going to get caught at some point. You're going to taste defeat. And Asakura is this would be the guy to knock out Pantoja. If anyone is going to knock out Pantoja, it's going to be Asakura in a debut fight where, like, he's got everything to prove, you know. And listen, I picked Royval, I picked Urseg. We're not flipping the switch here. If I flip the switch here and pick Pantoja, it's obviously going to be an Asakura win. So I've got to bite down on my mouthpiece. I've got to show my heart. I picked Royval, I picked Urseg. It's only right for me to ride the train, guys. It's only right. We're picking Kai Asakura to get it done by knockout over Pantoja. I have a feeling I've battled this one for a while now, and I'm taking the bait. We're going to go with the Kai Asakura round 2 or round 1 KO win over Alexandre Pantoja. That'll be the official pick. I have a feeling, guys. And listen, I've got to ride the train. I have to. I picked the past 2 people to beat Pantoja. And Royval probably is a more well-rounded, maybe all-around fighter than Asakura. But on the feet, Asakura has way more knockout ability than Royval, than Urseg. So I think that's going to show. We're going to see a knockout here for Asakura. New champion. Really cross my fingers here. I really hope I get this one. I completely understand you guys if you go against me here. I completely understand. I have to do this for me. You don't understand. I picked Royval. I picked Urseg. I went through the withdrawals, the trials and tribulations. I have to show my heart, bite down on my mouthpiece, and do this for me. Kai Asakura knocking out Pantoja is the official pick. Let me know what you guys thought of my picks. That's the full card. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Have a good one.